Going to be installing a Banks gauge pod for the I-dash gauge, the super gauge. It goes onto the A pillar, and what it does, it's going to bolt right there where the supplemental restraint system cover is that covers up that 10mm bolt. That 10mm bolt is going to bolt on the gauge pod to hold the I-dash gauge, the super gauge. This comes off real easy. There's a few things you have to do. One, you need to pull the weather rubber stripping off of the seam here. It's not glued on at all, so it comes right off and it pushes right back on. So you'll have to pull that off enough to get to all this. Another thing you're going to have to do is, let me turn on a light here, is under the dash you're going to have to remove 3 bolts. Now one of them you can't see now because it's covered up over here, but there's a 10mm bolt that sits down right under this panel here. Then you have another 10mm here, and you have one on the other side of the dash. You remove all 3 of those bolts, and you're going to pop this panel. Let me move back here a little. You're going to pop this entire panel away and down so that you can get in here and have room to fish these wires right here. These go to the Banks I-dash gauge. One comes from the pedal monster, and one comes from the OBD2 port. And they're going to connect into the back of the I-dash gauge, the 2 little connectors on the end of them. And what you're going to do is you fish those up through the dash in here, and then you're going to run them up the panel here and out of the, let's see, so you can hear, you're going to run them up the A pillar and run them out of the hole you're going to drill in the A pillar. So when I get the gauge, I'm waiting on it to show up right now from FedEx. You're going to put it on here, you're going to make a mark, you're going to drill a 18mm hole, in my case, because I have 2 wires. If you only have 1 wire, then all you have to do is drill a 16mm hole. But mine, because I have 2, they tell you to drill an 18mm hole, and it's somewhere right around this area. And of course the iPod gauge is going to cover the hole in this area here when you install it, and the 10mm bolt's going to hold it onto the A pillar. Now it comes in black, but you can paint it to match. I'm not going to paint it to match. I want the contrast difference. So all I really have to do now is drill my hole, mount my pod, start reinstalling this A pillar up there, and start running my wires, tucking them in. Now you do have an airbag here, so be careful around that. You do want to make sure that you undo the negative battery cable because you don't want an accidental deployment. There's also an airbag down below the dash, I believe. So you don't want that one to accidentally deploy either. I believe there's one down there. Let's see what that says. Yeah, you have a knee airbag as well. So you don't want either one of those to deploy while you're moving that stuff, so just disconnect your negative battery terminal, and then when you're all done, reconnect your negative battery terminal and you're good to go. So that's just a little preview of what I'm doing, where I'm at on it. I'll do another video once I get it in there and working to show what it looks like.